Let's talk about King Charles III. So Charles has finally got his seat on the throne, but what do we know about him? One of the first things Charles did as king, before his mother was even put in the vault, was to restore some of the royal duties and titles to his brother, Prince Andrew. Yeah, that Prince Andrew, the one whose mother thought a good use of money was to pay out as much as £12 million to his accuser, Virginia Guthrie, who, as you all know, accused Andrew of having sex with her when she was trafficked. Charles, in a blatant middle finger to the country, no, the world, has made Andrew a member of his Council of State, meaning when Charles goes abroad, there's a chance that Andrew could take over the official duties of the crown and be standing king. Now, is that a likely event? I don't know. But the fact that it's even a possibility shows you exactly and unequivocally where Charles's moral compass is at. Well, they do say you should start as you mean to go on. Charles has really shown the UK what his priorities are. The Windsor, formerly known as Prince, has lived a life of complete and utter affluence and has a morning routine consisting of having his shoelaces ironed, an inch of toothpaste squeezed onto his toothbrush, and his bath plug set in a particular position. As well as that, this fully grown-ass adult human being has 2 staff employed by the state just to dress him every morning. To be fair, shirt buttons can be tricky. On the whole, it seems most people in the UK think Charles will do a good job as king, although it isn't clear what doing a good job entails. We all know that as Prince, Charles was involved with a number of charities, so much so that in 2015, he personally accepted a suitcase, a holdall, and a Fortnum & Mason's carrier bag stuffed with nearly €3 million in cash from the former Prime Minister of Qatar as a donation. The Sheikh, one of the richest men in the world, is informally known as the man who bought London after steering the Qatari Wealth Fund to make massive investments, including the Shard, Harrods, and the Intercontinental Hotel in Park Lane. He is also the owner of one of the world's richest football clubs. This handing over of bags of cash was apparently judged as perfectly legal and above board. I can't imagine that one of the richest men in the world doesn't have access to internet banking on his phone. Anyway, in 2018, Charles conferred upon Lord Brownlow the title of Commander of the Victorian Order. It's probably just coincidence that Lord Brownlow's firm Havisham Investment Group rescued a failed climate change project started by Charles's charity to the tune of £1.7 million just a few years before. If you're thinking that Lord Brownlow sounds familiar, that's because he was the guy that funded the refurbishment of Boris Johnson's number 10 flat a few years ago. Just an incredibly generous man, obviously. You would imagine that with dodgy cash payments and help from Lord Brownlow, that MPs might have a few questions. But no, you see, Erskine May, which is a book on parliamentary procedures written by a former clerk of the Commons, states, "No questions can be put which brings the name of the sovereign or the influence of the crown directly before Parliament, or which casts reflections upon the sovereign or the royal family. A question has been altered at the Speaker's direction on the grounds that the name of the sovereign should not be introduced to affect the views of the House. Questions are, however, allowed on such matters as the cost of public funds of royal events and royal palaces." That kind of explains why Andrew's behaviour hasn't been a matter for parliamentary debate, doesn't it? So basically, the only scrutiny upon the hereditary rulers, the royal family, that elected MPs are allowed is strictly on the matters of the cost of royal events and palaces. Why, in the year 2022, are such outdated and ancient rules still being observed in modern Britain? Why would the entire royal family need to be protected from any questions about their conduct, business, and finance? Isn't it the establishment who always say, if you've done nothing wrong, you've nothing to hide? Here's to 70 more years of the world's greatest symbol of inequality. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I really appreciate that. I want to spend a special shout out to my first Patreon supporter, Joe Ellen. You're forever in my heart, Joe Ellen. Thank you very much. If you want to join Joe Ellen and get your name shouted out and put on the Patreon roll, feel free to hit the Patreon link in the description below. All my other socials are on there, so feel free to follow. See you on the next video.